Ever wonder why some marriages last decades while others crumble within years? Why certain couples build empires together while others can't even split the dinner bill without drama? Here's something that might shock you. The wealthiest, most successful people on the planet approach choosing a life partner exactly like they'd evaluate a potential business merger. Sounds ridiculous, right? But look around. Divorce rates hover around 50%. Countless couples stay together but live like roommates who can't stand each other. People spend years in relationships that drain their bank accounts, crush their dreams, and leave them wondering where their life went. But stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to share will completely change how you think about love, commitment, and building a life with another person. You'll feel confident knowing why treating partnership selection like a strategic investment might be the most romantic thing you ever do. Now, most people think wealthy individuals are emotionless robots who don't believe in love. But that's not true. What the wealthy understand that others don't is that love without strategy leads to disaster. They've seen too many brilliant people make terrible relationship choices that destroyed everything they'd worked for. Think about it this way. Would you start a business with someone without knowing their work ethic, their financial habits, their long-term vision, or how they handle stress? Of course not. That would be insane. Yet people commit to marriage, combine finances, and plan to raise children with someone based purely on how they feel during the honeymoon phase when everyone's on their best behavior. Wealthy people operate differently. They start with one simple step: the compatibility assessment. Before emotions cloud their judgment, they evaluate whether this person actually fits into the life they're building. They ask themselves hard questions that most people are too afraid to consider. Does this person share my core values about money? Do they understand delayed gratification, or do they need instant rewards? Will they support my ambitions or compete with them? How do they treat people who can't benefit them? What happens when they don't get their way? These aren't shallow concerns. These are the foundations that determine whether two people can build something lasting together or just enjoy each other's company temporarily. Here's what's fascinating about this approach. When you start evaluating compatibility before getting emotionally attached, you save yourself years of heartbreak and frustration. You stop trying to force square pegs into round holes. You stop hoping someone will magically transform into the partner you need them to be. The psychology behind this is brilliant. Most people fall in love with potential instead of reality. They see glimpses of who someone could become and convince themselves that's who they're dating. But wealthy individuals focus on who someone actually is right now, today, based on their consistent patterns of behavior over time. They understand something crucial that escapes most people. You cannot love someone into having different values. You cannot patient someone into emotional maturity. You cannot communicate someone into wanting the same future you want. People change only when they want to change for their own reasons, not because someone else needs them to be different. This is why successful people create what I call relationship criteria. Not a wish list of superficial preferences, but concrete requirements that determine compatibility. Things like financial responsibility, communication style during conflict, life timeline alignment, and shared vision for the future. Now, this makes some people uncomfortable because it feels unromantic. But here's what's actually unromantic. Wasting years of someone's life because you knew from the beginning your goals were incompatible but hoped feelings would overcome reality. Wealthy people also understand the power of observation over assumption. They don't make major commitments based on how someone behaves during the first few months, when everyone's performing their best version of themselves. They watch how potential partners handle real-life situations over extended periods. How do they treat service workers when they're frustrated? How do they manage stress when important things don't go their way? What happens when you disagree with them about something significant? Do their actions match their words consistently over months, not weeks? This evaluation period isn't about being suspicious or untrusting. It's about gathering enough data to make an informed decision about who you're considering for the most important partnership of your life. The difference between wealthy people and everyone else isn't that they don't feel emotions. It's that they don't let emotions override logic when making decisions that will impact the next 20 to 50 years of their lives. Here's something that will blow your mind about how the ultra-wealthy approach relationships. They treat emotional compatibility like a business metric that can be measured and improved over time. But they also do something that most people completely miss. They focus on what they bring to the table before demanding anything from a potential partner. Think about it. In business, you can't expect to attract top-tier partners if you don't have valuable assets to offer. The same principle applies to relationships, but most people skip this step entirely. They create lists of what they want in a partner without honestly assessing what they offer in return. Successful people start with brutal self-evaluation. What's my emotional stability like under pressure? How do I handle money? Am I the kind of person who builds others up or tears them down? Do I have my own life figured out enough to enhance someone else's journey rather than burden it? This isn't about being perfect. It's about being self-aware enough to know your strengths and weaknesses so you can find someone whose qualities complement yours rather than create additional. Now, problems, here's where it gets really interesting. Wealthy individuals understand leverage in relationships just like they understand it in business. Not manipulation or control, but mutual benefit where both people become more powerful together than they ever could alone. They look for partners who amplify their strengths rather than compensate for their weaknesses. If they're brilliant with strategy but struggle with execution, they don't seek someone to do everything for them. They find someone whose execution skills mesh perfectly with their strategic thinking to create an unstoppable team. This is completely different from how most people approach dating. Most folks look for someone to fill their gaps or fix their problems, but that creates dependency, not partnership. It builds relationships where one person is constantly giving while the other is constantly taking. The wealthy understand that sustainable partnerships require both people to be whole, individuals who choose to combine their strengths. Neither person should need the other to function. They should want each other because together they can accomplish things neither could achieve alone. There's also something fascinating about how successful people handle the financial conversation that most couples completely avoid until it's too late. They discuss money early, openly, and strategically because they know financial incompatibility destroys more relationships than almost anything else. But they don't just talk about current income or debt. They dive deep into money psychology. How was money handled in your family growing up? What does financial security mean to you? Are you a saver or a spender? What's your relationship with risk? Do you see money as a tool for freedom or a source of stress? These conversations happen within the first few months, not after moving in together or getting engaged. Because if two people have fundamentally different relationships with money, no amount of love will prevent constant conflict over spending, saving, investing, and long-term financial goals. Here's another principle that separates wealthy people from everyone else. They understand that attraction and compatibility are two completely different things. Attraction gets you interested. Compatibility keeps you together. You can feel incredible chemistry with someone who makes terrible life decisions. You can be powerfully drawn to someone whose communication style creates constant drama. Physical and emotional attraction are important, but they're not enough to build a lasting partnership on. Successful people prioritize compatibility factors that most people barely consider. Do we have similar energy levels? Are we both morning people or night owls? Do we recharge in the same ways? How much social interaction do we each need? What does our ideal weekend look like? These might sound trivial compared to big topics like career goals and family plans, but they're not. These daily rhythm differences create friction that builds over years until couples feel like they're living with strangers who completely different live-want styles. The ultra-wealthy also do something that sounds harsh, but actually saves everyone involved massive amounts of pain. They set clear timelines for relationship progression and stick to them. They decide up front how long they'll date before moving in together, how long they'll live together before getting engaged, how long they'll be engaged before marrying, and most importantly, how long they'll wait to see if fundamental incompatibilities resolve themselves. This isn't about rushing or pressuring anyone. It's about preventing the endless drift that keeps incompatible people stuck in relationships that aren't going anywhere. When you have clear timelines, you make intentional decisions instead of just letting time pass and hoping things improve magically. If someone can't meet your core requirements within reasonable timeframes, you have your answer about long-term compatibility. You're not trying to change them or force anything. You're simply acknowledging that you want different things and freeing both people to find partnerships that actually work. This approach eliminates the years of uncertainty that drain so many relationships. Instead of wondering where things are headed, both people know exactly what they're working toward and when decisions need to be made. So here's the bottom line about choosing partners like the wealthy do. This isn't about being cold or unfeeling. It's about being smart enough to recognize that the most important decision of your life deserves the same strategic thinking you'd apply to any major investment. The purely emotional approach has failed millions of people. It's left them broken, and wondering what went wrong. Meanwhile, Those who treat partnership selection like a business decision build relationships that last decades, create wealth together, and genuinely enjoy each other's company year after year. You're not looking for someone perfect. You're looking for someone perfectly compatible with the life you want to build. Someone whose values, goals, and daily habits align with yours so naturally that being together feels effortless instead of exhausting. The next time you meet someone who catches your interest, ask yourself this: if this person were applying to be your business partner for the next 30 years, would you hire them based on what you actually know about their character, their work ethic, and their vision for the future? Or are you just hoping they'll become who you need them to be? Your future self will thank you for thinking like a successful person instead of a romantic movie character. Because the most romantic thing you can do is build a partnership that actually works.